Well, let's move into the next topic, and sticking in the realm of injuries in the Western Conference, this one's a little bit more positive. DeMarcus Cousins is nearing a return. He has now started practicing in close scrimmages with the team. We also saw the IG story, I think it was, or just IG post of Boogie traveling, as KD said, and dunking on Kevin Durant.
He's just salty.
Looked slow. Didn't look super great, but also it was just a fuck around in practice, so we don't know how he truly looks. There is no timetable set for him, but the Warriors are on a bit of a skid. Lost to the Portland Trailblazers. I think it was on the 27th. And then on the 25th, obviously lost to the Lakers. Klay hasn't been fantastic this year, like a typical Klay season. Steph's been injured. KD hasn't been phenomenal. He's been very good. I think KD has had better seasons before, but still, he's still a top 5 player. And then also Draymond not playing up to what we thought he could have possibly gotten in a max.
I don't know what happened.
He can't really play defense that well either. I mean, he's struggling all around. Like he's still worth, he still has worth because he's a good defender, but he's not defensive player of the year defender anymore. So at least right now. But looking at this, how will DeMarcus Cousins returning affect the Warriors? Do you think it's going to be positive, or do you think it's going to be a negative?
It's going to change the world. Like DeMarcus Cousins,
we gonna shock the world.
I don't care what people say about him. They can hate his attitude. They can hate the way he plays on the court. I don't care. He's so freaking talented. It's not fair that they get to roll out DeMarcus Cousins. And again, they're taking their time with him because as you talk about return timetables, like for his injury, people have come back much sooner in the past. The longest one, I think, was Elton Brand. I think it was Elton. He was one of the ones who was injured. And yes, he never returned to the state he was in, but he also was not nearly as good of a player as DeMarcus Cousins was. And he relied a lot on his athleticism, where DeMarcus is a smoother big man who, ball in his hands, he can face up. He can go face up with you. He can back you down. Like, his game is going to work so well. The only concern for me is like the conditioning. And as long as they roll him out in slow chunks, like don't worry about getting him 30 minutes a night. Like, I want to see him get like,
I'm confident in the Warriors that
12,
they'll do that.
14 minutes, just little bits of incremental growth, because when he's on the court, he's one of the best centers in the NBA, and he abuses just about everybody else out there. There's a handful of really great defensive centers who really match him. But outside of that, this takes them from the worst team as far as centers are in the NBA to one of the best. So their lack of depth is scary, because Kevin Looney obviously is a sparingly used center in ideal circumstances. There's already talks of them, grabbing Rolo after we relinquish his rights and buy him out, which great for them. But it's just one of those things where he's just so freaking talented.
That's the thing with, like, you're looking at their lineups with the 5-man combos with like per 100 possessions. Their best ones, like, would actually get a ton of minutes, are the ones with centers, either Kevin Looney or Damon Jones when he was healthy. Obviously he tore his pec and he's out. So I just wonder, although you're adding a center in DeMarcus Cousins and he might not be to his full health, how much will he truly help this offense? Because those are not guys that are like DeMarcus Cousins. They are just bigs. They're out there.
They're traditional.
They're traditional bigs. They're out there to rim protect. They're out there to set pick and rolls. They're out there to be big bodies. They are not DeMarcus Cousins, who's used to putting out near 30 points per game. They're not up there, seeing a 27% usage. So that's why I'm asking, will it be positive or negative? Because obviously you're adding talent, which is always good. It's always going to be able to take pressure off of players. But the Warriors have been such a well-run and oiled machine that Boogie can be that guy that can totally throw a cog into this. So my thought...
What? Him controversy? No.
My thought, maybe this is crazy, and I don't know if this is fully true because I haven't looked up into the rules yet.
Sure.
What if they just try to rush him back, try to show him off as much as possible, and trade him before the trade deadline?
Yikes.
No. And the reason why I'm saying no to that is I like what Dave said. Dave mentioned the A word, which usually is a bad thing, but with this team, it's a good thing. Attitude. He brings that attitude.
Really? Kevin Durant's, saltiness doesn't bring in enough?
No, but here's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm hoping he comes out and he's basically kind of what Draymond Green used to be.
He can spread the technicals out.
Yeah, kind of that way. But it's like he is the enforcer on this team. You mess with Steph, you're coming through me. And I'm hoping that maybe with him out there, him and Draymond kind of form like
They're the Bash Brothers.
They're
the Bash Brothers. I'm psyched for this.
In the Warriors, and it's like double enforcers. Because
is Ron Artest still out there?
He technically is, but I got to get something off my chest.
They still have a roster spot now with McCaw. Just sign Ryan Artest to give
I got to get the
goons out there.
We usually don't talk about the Warriors.
The G word over there, strong.
So I haven't been able to talk about this. I can't stand it when I hear like, oh, Kevin Durant's missing shots over here. Draymond Green can't shoot over here. Is this the year the Warriors won't win? No. Let's wait till the playoffs. They're going to get Boogie back, which is not going to be a negative. It's like you could have stopped it. Will it be a positive? Yes. That's the answer to your question.
Oh,
yes.
Look, they're adding a fifth All-Star.
Oh my God, they're getting Boogie Cousins.
But my thing is
on this team.
Yes, it's a fifth All-Star, and yes, again, I'm just trying to play.
No,
because
I understand.
Because obviously, in the end, if it works out, then we're gonna be talking about one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah.
Because you have so much talent on this team, but we look at this team. Klay is struggling. Draymond is struggling. They're just backing off on him, and maybe that's going to even help this team even more when DeMarcus comes back, because then you have another guy you need to worry about. That's going to leave Draymond even more wide open, and maybe that's going to help him gain his confidence even more, or maybe try to prove guys wrong, and he'll start hitting shots from the outside, and then there you go. The offense is kind of back in sync because Klay's missing a ton of shots. He's taking a lot of mid-range shots too, not shooting from the outside as much.
It's uncharacteristic, yeah.
So I just wonder, how will it be able to kind of right the system again? Will adding this back in help this offense? And that's how I wonder, what will this offense look like in your mind, Dave, if it's at its peak performance? How will it look like with all five players out there, DeMarcus Cousins, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry out there on the floor at its peak, running well? How will it look?
I think it's going to be really impressive, and it's going to be pass heavy. It's kind of like a take back to the older Warriors team that we saw where the ball movement was absolutely key. If there's one coach I trust in this league to utilize five guys like this, it is Steve Kerr. He is creative. He will find the best way to do it. And I think that Draymond is going to get back closer to the median, to the mean, what he used to be. He might not be that all-NBA defender like you said this year, but I think his defense will come back because you have another body down low to bang, and that takes a lot of effort out of him when he's going up against bigger guys night in, night out. So I think that defensively, they're going to be fine. Offensively, I look at Boogie to make up for when Steph isn't healthy. They continue with ball movement because he is one of the best handling bigs in the NBA. Yes, his turnover numbers look horrendous because of the ball and because of his usage, but I think that his ability to create opportunities for the other guys out there when he sucks guys down into the low post or when he goes to the top of the key with the ball, they have to respect him. It forces defenses to play differently around him. So when he can do that, other guys are going to get open looks. Like you said, Draymond Green will get open looks. I think I'm a little concerned with Klay, but he has that ability. He could be shooting 12% from three.
Remember
one game he's just gonna go.
Remember how crappy he was shooting, and it's he had that playoff game where he went off.
He hasn't gone back.
He had one game this year where he raced 6% or something.
Well, no, I'm not even saying that. It's in the playoffs against the Rockets. It's wow, they might have Klay's number, and then boom, he went off, and it's
and he was playing
starter.
Incredible defense to make up for his lack of shooting, but then his shooting came back anyway. So. No, I mean, that's the concern for me is Klay needs to be right as far as his three-point shooting, at least be much closer to what he used to be. I think that Boogie changed the way the offensive system flows because of how much of a threat he is to other teams and his ability to facilitate. He's a game changer on that end.
Well, because he'll suck people in, then Klay's open.
But how much of this? How much do you think he'll be able to buy into this? Because we talk about the big personality, and if he is not buying into this, and especially trying to prove himself coming back from injury, if this is his time to be all right, I need to be able to prove myself to get money this offseason. How is he going to be able to be he's just fit in and he'll be working the ball around?
If he could buy into it with the Pelicans, who are nowhere near a ring,
but he was getting more usage.
But I think
he was still getting level usage that he was used to.
I think that DeMarcus Cousins, if we were talking Sacramento Kings DeMarcus Cousins, I'd be on the same board of hey, you know what? I don't think this attitude is going to be good. But from what I saw in New Orleans, in a market that is not like anywhere in California, any of the California teams, and it's something where when you add that chance to win a ring for a player who has not won it yet, I think that is going to be enough of a reason for him to buy in on it. And I feel like everything with the Warriors are so bad right now. It's the worst that we've seen this team A, it's hard to three-peat. 2, this has probably been the only year where I would say the talent around the league is a little bit easy, like not
There's
easier, but a little bit better, a little bit more parity than we've seen in the past. And this is the most we've seen this team struggle to where they're going to be fine. They're going to make the playoffs. Boogie's going to help them win games. And then they're going to cruise through the playoffs, and we're going to look back and go, man, remember in December when we thought they were in trouble? And then we'll laugh at ourselves.
I think the thing to keep in mind is winning makes people happier. And like Ricky said, Sacramento, he was pissed because they just weren't winning. They were unable to build talent around him. He went to New Orleans. They showed they loved him. They showed they gave a shit about him again. And he was happy because he was winning. Like you said, he was the center of their offense. Like he was taking over because AD was not healthy at that point in time. We barely got to see them play together. It was basically like a handoff of, oh, AD's back and Boogie's gone. But I think that him going to a winning culture like the Warriors, where his role isn't going to be as big, and you said it, is he going to be trying to play for that contract? Do you think he's going to try to be balling out? I think that's going to be okay because there are going to be certain nights where he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the go-to guy. They're very much whoever's hot is going to run this team, and I love that because we watched when Steph and Klays struggled in the playoffs. They're like, oh, we'll just give the ball to Kevin tonight. Like, we'll just let Kevin run ISO and just win us a game. Like, they have that ability to just flip up and be like, which one do we want to go to tonight? This one. Let's give you the ball and let you run the offense. Like, Steve Kerr is going to let this team run the way they want to run, which is wonderful because he's like the ultimate player's coach when he's out there. But I don't think that we're going to see too many problems. The only thing that I think is going to be concerning is his attitude when it comes to his own teammates. I think that he is more likely to get into a fight with Kevin Durant and Draymond Green than anybody else. Like we joke about Draymond and KD yelling at each other, screaming at each other. You can see it on the sidelines. They don't always get along so great. And maybe we're blowing too much out of this, but it's enough that we've seen it publicly.
Yeah.
And I think Boogie easily could be in that same realm. So having another explosive personality like that.
But to DeMarcus's credit, we didn't see that at all in New Orleans. He was nothing but a good locker room presence.
Correct.
And then, so far through the Warriors, who was breaking up that fight like publicly on the Staples Center floor?
It was
DeMarcus. So I think that maybe we might be blowing that up too much. And most of DeMarcus's
things to look out for.
But most of DeMarcus's big fights have just been with the coach. Yeah, so if him and Steve Kerr are gelling together, might be fine.
That's true.
I just worry about the way that Klay's been performing. It's been like 6 games. He hasn't been over 20 points per game, or 20 points at all in those games. I think his most he scored was 16, which is very worrisome for a scorer like Klay Thompson. You look at Draymond Green. Again, his inability to work offensively is going to damage this team because it's going to hurt ball movement. Because, again, who is he going to pass it to if they're going to be expecting a pass because Draymond's not going to shoot and he's not dangerous to score at all. So that's going to take away his inability. Maybe adding DeMarcus will help them regain their confidence. And obviously, if Klay and Draymond are regaining their confidence, this team is going to be dangerous. But what if, in the playoffs, they don't find their confidence? Or they start losing their confidence. The confidence starts wavering. Do you think this is the most susceptible the Warriors have been in the past 3 years?
Yes and no. I'm going to say yes because obviously this is the most losses with the KD Warriors that they've had up to this point. They had 7.
But do losses reflect the true nature of this team?
And that's where I'm going to go with is this is the most losses they've had up to this point. Last year they were at 7, which was last year was the most losses they've ever had with KD out of the 2 that we've seen. And I'm going to say no to your second question because
what do you mean 7?
They had
up until this
point.
They
had 7 at the December 27th mark. They had 7 losses.
Okay.
They finished the year at 24, which was the most that they've ever had with KD. Yeah, I know it was only 2 seasons, but it was the most that they ever had. Now I feel like to answer your second one, this is the most scrutinized team in the NBA where they are so perfect that we have to find things like this to nitpick them with. And the thing that I'm going to go back to what you said, you mentioned earlier how their best lineups were ones that had a center in it. The reason why is when the center is playing well for them, that can collapse guys into the paint, open up their shooters on the outside, kick it out. And like Dave said, what does Boogie do well? He can pass the ball. You pass it into Boogie, like Steph drives, passes it to Boogie. Boogie can then make kind of like I'm thinking football now, like an audible decision or like a read option decision. Do I go up with it Or has everyone collapsed? Oh, shoot, Klay's open in the corner. I'm going to dish it off to Klay, and then Klay might be able to make that shot because everybody has collapsed. Not just Steph, who has drove into the lane, but also DeMarcus Cousins, because you cannot anymore with the Warriors be like, hey, we don't have to respect their 5. No, you have to respect their 5 once Boogie's out there.
I agree with that. And if he's coming back healthy, which, again, we really haven't touched upon too much. I mean, Dave has mentioned Elton Brand was really the only person that took this long to come back. And, again, no one comes back to the same player that they were.
But let's be
and there
honest.
haven't been a ton of footage of what Boogie has looked like. One of them, he was not looking extremely crisp. It was I think the first dunk I saw him throw down.
Yeah.
It was kind of like run like a gazelle. Super awkward. But again, we don't know fully if he was just goofing around. And then obviously we saw the KD stuff, and that was just in practice, so we can't really take in too much of it. But I think there is some reason to worry because you look back at 2016, 2017. They were first in points per game. They were first in offensive rating. Then last year, they were first in points per game. They were third in offensive rating. This year, they're fourth in points per game, and then they're first in offensive rating. But you look at the defensive side, and that's where it's really starting to hurt them. 11th in opponents' points per game in 2016, 2017, and then second in defensive rating. Last year, they were 18th in opponent points per game and 11th in defensive rating. Now they are at 16th in defensive rating, so bottom of the league. This is the first time they've ever been bottom of the league in defensive rating, and then 22nd in opponents' points per game. So they are not the same defensive team they are, and we're not talking about DeMarcus Cousins as the staunch defender in any way.
Much.
He's not a guy that shows hustle on that side. So, yes, the offense might get better, and it might be that mindset of we just need to outscore our opponents, which obviously makes sense. That's how you win games. But you're just going to not play defense. You're just going to try to outscore them. I do worry, though, when it comes to the playoffs and you're going up against a team like maybe the Rockets, if they're able to fully right the ship and Chris Paul's healthy, maybe they will be able to give you struggles defensively. Maybe you go up against a team that, like the Lakers, who play great defense, will give you those struggles. They just kicked your ass on Christmas Day. I think there is a ton of susceptibility on this Warrior team, and probably the most we've seen in the KD era, just because of their inability to play high-level defense, stemming from Draymond's struggles this year, stemming from Steph's injuries, stemming from Klays' lack of confidence, and now adding DeMarcus, who isn't like a great rim protector, who isn't a full effort guy defensively.
Yeah.
I think this might add to something where you might get too rich, where maybe less is more with the Warriors, and maybe you just need to realize that, hey, Jonas Jerebko is definitely not as good as DeMarcus Cousins, but he does add something that is just necessary, and that's, again, adding ball movement that we have seen before with the Warriors to work, but he's not, overpowering a team. And I think DeMarcus might walk that fine line of he might overpower the Warriors in some ways where, again, it might make them, it might reveal more chips in the armor.
Yeah, I completely agree that they have struggled, and I think that he does not fix it. Boogie coming back does not fix that. But at the end of the day, like, this team's enemy is just their own health. Like, if they can't stay healthy, they're not going to win a championship. I'll just say that. Because if you look at, you mentioned all their numbers this year, much worse than the past, but you look at the games played for everybody, and, like, Steph has been consistently injured throughout his entire career. Like, that was a known going in, and he's kind of been true to that. Klay, healthy, but underperforming, and you're getting Draymond on and off again. Like, I think their biggest enemy is just, if they can stay healthy, they're going to be able to contend for a championship again easily. But if they're losing one of their guys out there, like, it's gonna be rough.
Like, Draymond's played, 22 compared to the 36 that like Durant's played, and Steph 25 compared to that 36.
Right. So I just their only enemy really is health.
All right, well, outside of that, like, who is their true enemy team-wise? Either in the Western Conference or Eastern Conference, who poses the biggest threat outside of themselves to the Warriors this year in the NBA?
When health is 100%, I'm saying the Lakers. The reason why, you got LeBron, who knows this team. You got Luke Walton, who knows this team. It's like having an enemy on the other side. And the Christmas Day match, as much as I want to say it's nothing that the regular season, in the playoffs it'd be different, that series would be one that I'd really like to see. LeBron and Luke Walton's Lakers going up against these Warriors.
You're not too far away from seeing it right now. Warriors at 3, Lakers at 7. So
Well, and
obviously,
even
obviously it's way too early in the season to say anything. But
And I'm already looking that way,
close.
Sean, because then if the Warriors beat the Rockets, who they would play if the playoffs started today, who could they play in the next round? The Lakers.
Well, also, I mean, like they're pretty much tied.
Yeah.
The OKC
the
and Golden
Thunder.
State, 22 and 12, and the 23 and 13, both a game and a half back of the Nuggets. Dave, who poses the biggest threat, either in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference?
At home in the West, I'm looking at OKC again. I'm still riding high on their defense is just ridiculous. So if there's a team to shut them down, give me OKC. Their defense is amazing. Westbrook and Paul George together. They found it right now and they're running with it. Their young guys are giving them enough energy off the bench, so I like them. Overall, I still lean Raptors. Which is weird because I'm not even 100% that they're going to make it out of the East for some reason because I think that Celtics are going to figure their shit out at some point this year.
And the Raptors have proven that they're a regular season team.
But the difference is Kawhi Leonard's a straight up closer. Like that man is just to Stephen A. Smith, he's a bad man. Like watching that Raptors team, and again, he's playing at his own will right now. It's basically like there's a back-to-back way. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna keep myself healthy, make sure general soreness, yes. But when they are clicking, holy crap, that team defense, depth, offense from everywhere out there. Pascal Siakam's growth, and we haven't even seen like OG Anunoby hit back to that level that he played at last year, where he was a sniper from the corner. So I look at that Raptors team and I'm just like, that's a complete team right there. That they can go up against anybody and pose a solid threat.
I feel like if you're gonna go to Stephen A, you got to go full into it and go, Max. Bruh, that dude is a bad man. You gotta do it just like Stephen A. If you're gonna lean into it like that.
As much as I'd love to say the Denver Nuggets, they're gonna get probably their ass kicked if they play them in the playoffs this year. I think they need a little bit more growth.
But what if they have an entire healthy Denver Nuggets team, something we haven't seen?
I still think they get their ass kicked
because
you look at what the Golden State Warriors offense is, and it's built so much on switching. And if you're using Steph and DeMarcus Cousins in switches, and you're attacking Nikola Jokic, you're either putting Steph on Jokic, which Steph will cook him, or you're putting Jokic trailing back to the basket and using DeMarcus Cousins' strength, where we know that Jokic isn't a good rim protector.
Yeah.
And he's good defensively in some ways. Like he's very good at reading defenses. He's good at jumping lanes. He's decent with positioning, but he's not aggressive enough defensively where DeMarcus will attack him and will bully him, and we've seen that before with guys like AD taking advantage of Jokic. I think it's too much of a flaw right now, although they have been much better defensively. I think the biggest threat, though, isn't the Raptors. I don't think it's Lakers. I think OKC's up there because of their ability to play defense.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest team would probably be the Bucks, just because of their ability to move the ball. This team has been fantastic this year. We've seen them at their peak. They can move the ball like no other team can. They can attack like no other team can with Giannis Antetokounmpo. No one can take a game over more like Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Eastern Conference. I'd say he's probably better at taking a game over in the Eastern Conference than Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving. Probably fourth most dangerous offensive player outside of KD, Steph, and LeBron when hot. I don't think that's something to disagree with, right?
I think
Giannis
disagree
probably the
because
fourth.
He's predictable. He has no outside shot.
Then why has no one stopped him?
Stopped him. They slowed him down. But I'm just saying, in the playoffs, who saved his ass last year? Chris Middleton.
And Chris
who's
Middleton,
playing really poorly right now? Chris Middleton.
And who's also playing really poorly? Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. It's not like the Warriors are good right now.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that Giannis. Yes, he's unstoppable when he's driving to the lane because it takes him 3 steps from half court. But like,
6,
3.
We saw it on Christmas Day. It was 6 and 1 dribble.
Wouldn't that be a travel at some point?
No, because it was like gather step, 1-2 dribble, gather step, 1-2 dribble.
I think Kawhi is more dangerous than him because everything that Giannis can do, Kawhi can do plus shooting from the outside. Mm-hmm. Like they're both monsters defensively. They can both drive to the lane. Giannis has the advantage in the 0 to 3 foot range 100% because he can close that distance like nothing and slam. But there's just something about Kawhi Leonard, and it's just like he's got it all. He's a complete package of shooting. He is fearless.
I don't know.
I'm taking him over Giannis.
If you're telling me a guy is averaging, shooting 60% from the field because he's driving the whole time, I don't know who can stop him.
Well,
like who's gonna go up and block Giannis Antetokounmpo outside
Well, I
Noah
just
Vonleh?
think back to last year.
When you talk about the Giannis stopper and you mentioned Noah Vonleh's name, and then you go, all right, well.
It was a joke.
I know.
He put up 34 on the next. But I'm saying, who's putting up near
I just think it's funny
60% shooting,
that-
6 assists, 26.5 points per game.
Last year we watched the Celtics kind of expose him, and they did the same thing to Ben Simmons when they're like, oh, your entire game is driving to the lane. We're going to stop you from doing that. We're going to slow you down heavily. Maybe not stop, but we're going to take away your number one option and make you beat us somehow else.
And that's what I was going to say of like with the Celtics.
Yeah.
That was a team also where it was like, oh, without Kyrie, without Gordon Hayward, oh, Giannis should be able to shine against this team of rookies. And then, yes, I know they played up to it, but who won that series in 7 games? It was not the Bucks.
Series.
And now it's like if you're giving a team Kawhi, I might agree with Dave and lean towards Kawhi.
This is another year of Giannis being in the playoffs. Giannis is only getting better.
He's gotten better.
Last
somehow.
year, again,
got better.
He had 25.7, shooting 57% from the field, 6.3 assists, only 2.4 turnovers.
Yeah.
Block a game.
I'm not trying to
steal half a
disrespect
game.
the man. I'm just saying that he leaned heavily on Chris Mid because they forced him to, and now Chris Mid's playing worse. While Bledsoe's playing better, I still don't know that team.
But everyone has their ups and downs, and we can't say right now in December going into January that Chris Middleton's not going to be good in the playoffs.
That's fair.
And I think one thing too, again, I think if we're talking about the most dangerous threat, they're dangerous defensively. They can create turnovers, and we're talking about this Warriors team that they have gotten more progressively worse over the past 3 years defensively. So although Giannis might be able to be stopped, it's very tough to guard him going to the bucket, and he's shown himself to be a capable passer. And we've seen this team, when that ball movement's flowing, they can be one of the best offensive teams in the league alongside of one of the best defensive teams. I think if we're talking about just sole threats to the Warriors, I think the Bucks probably proved the greatest threat, because we're talking about the Raptors, who outside of Kawhi Leonard, none of them showed up in the playoffs. We're talking about Kyle Lowry, who's their second best player, and he's been nothing but a choke artist the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, I'm not trying to bash the guy, but it's been the truth. It's why they traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard, because those two weren't going to get done in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
We look at the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron hasn't gotten to be able to get, although he's been playing them, he hasn't been able to get it done. He has 1 win against him in the playoffs the past 2 years. Like, LeBron is a dangerous player. But we also just talked about last segment that the guys around him, and Kyle Kuzma,
Kuzma is your most dangerous too.
Brandon Ingram, I was going to call him Brian Ingram. Brandon Ingram, like, they're not extremely dangerous. We don't know what they're going to do in the playoffs. This is their first time in the playoffs. The Bucks have been there. They have the most dangerous player in my mind in the Eastern Conference, and they can play great defense. They can move the ball. So I would say the most dangerous threat.
Intriguing.
Anyways, it's going to do it for the Warriors talk. Any final thoughts?
No.
I said final thoughts like 10 minutes ago.
You're going to be dope.
I like the Eastern Conference talk here at the end. I was just sitting back and listening.
Little nice bonus.
I just feel like this is going to be a segment that comes and bites me in the ass, because I was like, "Whoa, Warriors bad," and then it's going to. I'm not saying they're not going to win.
I was going to say, like, when they go on a roll and lose 1 game in the playoffs.
Well, my thing is,
I'm
let's wait till June.
My thing is, I'm not writing that off. I think that they will definitely still win the finals. I just think that maybe if
challenge-wise, you think the hardest team will be the Bucks?
No, I get it. I get it. Sean's bored of seeing the Warriors win, and you would like someone new to win, right? That's a little bit of it.
No.
Okay.
It's not at all.
Because I could see
I think that they are the best team in the. I think they're the best team in the NBA, and I just have questions about this team. I just don't want to say like, oh, they're the greatest team of all time right now, because so far they haven't proved that they're the greatest team right now. They're not the number 1 team in their fucking conference. They weren't last year, and yes, they came back and still won the title. But we're looking at a team that their best player, Steph Curry, is consistently hurt. We look at Kevin Durant not having his best season. We look at Klay Thompson clearly not having his best season. Draymond Green isn't up to par, and we're talking about DeMarcus Cousins being their savior, and he's coming off an Achilles injury where people are notably known for getting injured. I'm just saying this team might be able to finally be beaten. And I think if the team's going to do it might be the Bucks.
With all that being said, they're still, half game out of first?
Yeah.
I mean,
for second.
Again, I'm not saying that they're not the most talented team in the NBA. I'm just saying that, again, they might be the most susceptible they've ever been.
That's fair.
I'm going to stop using that word because I can't say it.
Susceptible.
All right.